I've been here. According to God, the white man is the devil. See, I've been here for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? And I see niggas, they like to talk a lot. They like to claim leadership. They like to claim this and that. You know what I'm saying? They like to be above what they believe they have authority. They don't really need that authority. They don't really know what to do with that leadership. You understand? You hold hands in this fight. You need to stop and ask you to give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe. Nigga gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. See, everybody ain't with all that peace talk. Everybody ain't with all that. Let Mike on me. Boy, ask you to stop and ask you to promise. My nigga's serious. Boy, when they hit us with dope and kill us with crack, where the fuck with your leaders? I'm curious. He cashed out on your blood, traded you in and bought a new biz. Ask you the prophets, I tell you the scheme. If you don't wake up, you gon' die in your dreams. I tell you won't tell you no more. I swear these crackers try to kill us slow. Just spoke to a nigga and fed and young on parole because of the COVID. It feel like the hoes in this world that don't go together. Nowhere is golden and ghetto. I'm in the city blazing with my niggas. Just told the devil the skull never settle. Yeah, see the prophets. Some tired these niggas keep talking about, you know, you respect my religion, I respect your religion. Boy, your ass need to stop and ask you the prophets. You know, like we all come together. You know what I'm saying? They say God so loved the world. God so loved the world, and know your ass need to stop and ask you. Give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe. Nigga gotta stand up to serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Yeah. Hey, gentlemen, y'all don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up. You know what I'm saying? Boy, your ass need to stop and ask you. The one with step on the side of the show to the fake niggas. Stay silent, I got it, let's go, let's go. I ain't taking no losses, ain't no token when we got the flow. Ain't no peace, just play with you, I'ma be loyal to the right arm. Tell them we can't keep it slave. And I can never let bygone be bygone. Got you, baby mother on high. Baby pants through the fire. Ask you the prophets, that baby so below to the Lord. I dare you bought it. Never will fail you, bitch, I can afford it. I prepare slaughter, you bring my water. Push your leaders weak, let them lies slip through their teeth. The ass need to stop and ask you the prophets.
That's just the reality, Christian. I'm sorry to hurt your feelings. I know your pastor lied to you every Sunday for 30 years, but that's what the church is for, lying. That's why they exist, to lie the money out of your pockets.
Boy, your ass need to stop and ask you to give a damn what you talk about. Don't give a fuck what you believe, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. We don't pray on our knees, nigga. Gotta stand up and serve my God. We don't pray on our knees, nigga.
All jokes aside, you know how niggas be like, I'm this and that for life, this and that for life. I'm on this for life, nigga. This is blood oath. Hey, yo, Madara, here go a clash for you, my nigga. 140 for the rebel.
The world turned its back on me. I'm a criminal. We got soldiers. He got soldiers, but I got different ones. Ain't no way out. I tell you what. Don't pray for nothing. Nothing in the curse. We can't forgive us for this. Remain in them churches. Trust in the Lord, but please forgive me for the times that I did. And bring his giving. Have your respect to your oppressor. Be about your business. This loyalty that damn sin is little. Trying to pick up with a blind foot. They said there'll be many matches. I'm just grinding for my time share. The devils ain't playing fair. They hunt you like bad bell. But ain't no getting out the game like you munchie. You take that office of Dundee. They try to deal death to a priest. You won't make it out in one. You ain't gonna bet so you can stand. Just make sure you got the heart. Say your name 3 times. It is death to his heart. So how you feel about this truth by the show? This ain't that like you think, nigga. I should want now. Even your own people go this show. And I know I said they hate you for my name. So you better keep it on. Ain't no more guessing. Ain't no more questions. Make sure my election till I'm tucked away like George Jetson. Murder for capital 9. Murder at the Capitol. The world in amazement. We like fuck them, raise it. I pity those watching life as it go by. Be giving mercy in his life. I don't know why. And pump smoke never tried over it. They dead on my brother be the dead. It's all I don't. It's a photo salute, my nigga. Salute, my nigga. Like how you stay focused? I told him I'm motivated cause of you, my nigga. Brotherhoods and weapons still got weapons on the scene. I never do my niggas like Bishop did Raheem. Never mind in all beliefs, they under anesthesia. Shorty say she leaving, say she wanna let that love go. So I let that love grow. But if I bring you to my bed, that's a blood. So, how you feel about this truth out of show? This ain't the life you think, nigga. I should want even your own people go this home. And the Lord said they hate you for my name, so you better keep it on. Hey, shalom, sir. YAHANNA. What's up? What's up? Shalom, shalom, shalom. I'm Officer 50 Zabaja of the I.S.U.P.K. under Commanding General YAHANNA. This is the I.S.U.P.K. history class. We're back at it again. It's Monday night, 7 o'clock. You know how it goes. Today we're going to be talking about molestation and murder in the residential schools that Canada set up for the Gadite children. That's the First Nation children, Native Americans, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. You just get everything set up that I need. Up. Yeah, now we TWAB. Right. Shalom, sir. Shalom, sir. All right, so we're going to be going in on residential schools, right? So hold up 1 second. So with the residential schools, what happened was the government decided that they wanted to kill the Indian spirit, like they've always done. Like when in recent times during the 70s and the 60s, when Black and Hispanics and Native Americans were starting to rise up, they did the same thing that they did for the residential schools, right? For the Gadites of the residential schools. They decided to go in and kill the spirit. They used residential schools back then to kill the spirit. In the 60s and the 70s, they used drugs, right? In the 60s and the 70s, they flooded our neighborhoods with heroin, crack cocaine. They flooded the reservations with crystal meth, right? So that's what we're going to be going in on today. I got a little article for you. I'm going to pull it up in a second. Let me just get that article. Hold up. Let me find it. Right, so we got residential schools. Let's get right. So we got a quick little intro for these residential schools. Salakia, let me just make sure we're Tawab. Shalom, Trooper Yerad, how about Shemel Shabbat?
Hey, shalom. So y'all about Shemel Shabbat.
Right, we're going in on the Northern Kingdom today. We're bringing out some history, right? Because Black history is every day. It's not just when the oppressors tell us to celebrate it or when the oppressors allow us to celebrate it, right? If you celebrate Black history only in February, it's because you're afraid to celebrate your history, right? Again, Black history in the I.S.U.P.K. and just in general, Black history is every day. Right, Salakia Aka, I'm not sure if you muted your mic on purpose, but your mic is on mute right now. So if you were saying anything, I couldn't hear you. Right, so residential schools.
Concert.
Let's get it.
I was just taking a quick call here.
No sweat, Doc. No, I just wasn't sure if you did it on purpose or you were trying to say something and you didn't know. But no sweat. You know the mantra. Right? So we're going to go in residential schools in Canada, right? So again, the residential schools that the Gadites were forced to go to, they were molested in those schools. They were murdered in those schools. There were many crimes that happened in those schools. Like, they would basically, it's kind of like what CAS does right now in the ghettos, where they'll look for an issue and it could be something that's not that it's like they forced us in the ghettos just like they forced our peoples onto reservations. So our conditions aren't always the best living conditions, but you could damn near bet that those children are always better off in our care. Right? Black, Hispanic, and Native American children are better off in Black, Hispanic, and Native American care, right? Our oppressors, the devil that the Bible speaks of, right? They've been crooked since they come out the room crooked, right? They go astray as soon as they come out the womb, right? So they're born devils. Like you have to understand that no matter what they say is never good for us. Right, so we're gonna read some of this article, right? Residential Slovakia. Why isn't it staying up? 1 second. Let me just make sure. Okay, we're Tawab. Tawada for whoever's tuning in. Like and share. Share the video. Like and share the video. Hold up 1 second. Like and share the video. Thumb up the video. And leave that there for a second. Residential schools. Right, so residential schools were government-sponsored religious schools, right? Our Bible, our Constitution, our history book is not a book of religion. It's a book of laws, right? That was given to a specific people. It was given to the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American. Like, our oppressors took our book, just like they take everything and they run with it and they try to make it theirs and they try to make it for everyone. But in this book, it's only for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American. It's only for the Israelites. Right, so we're gonna read some more. Residential schools were government-sponsored religious schools that were established to assimilate indigenous children into Euro-Canadian culture. Right, so you gotta like our oppressors. They're crafty. They're Salakia. They're a subtle beast, right? They're cunning. They say things like assimilate, right? So assimilate means that's like saying blend in, right? But if you blend in and Black, Hispanic, or Native American into European Caucasian culture, that means the Black, Hispanic, and Native American culture has to die. Right? So what they did was they tried to wipe out Native American culture. Right? They basically tried to. Gadites couldn't speak their language. They couldn't see their families. They couldn't exactly play with the other children in the residential school and do the cultural things that they were doing before. They couldn't grow their hair, right? And we brought it out last week that hair to an Israelite is something that's like jewelry for an Israelite, your hair. Right, you check out a Black, Hispanic, and Native American person, like, and you try to play with their hair, you're damn near going to war with them. That's going to be a fight. Right, so they wanted to assimilate indigenous children into Euro-Canadian culture. Right, so they wanted to assimilate the Gadites, the Native Americans, so-called Native Americans, into Euro-Canadian culture. Although the first residential facilities were established in New France, the term usually refers to the schools established after the 1800s. So we're going to Salakia. Before we continue, let's just get one precept so we could see exactly what's going on here, right? Because these people, they thought they were doing something to help, right? They thought they were doing something to help these children, and they definitely were not helping, right? And anything they do, always causes death and turmoil, right? So, Trooper Yerad, can you get me Proverbs 29 and 2? We're going to start with Proverbs 29 and 2.
Fine, sir.
Salakia, hold up before you drop that. Let me catch up with you. Whenever you're ready, Ak.
Fine, sir. Salakia, sir. Just getting in here too. I'm sick.
Khan, so while you're ready to get it, I'm gonna just continue. So the residential schools, terrible crimes happen, right? And there's a big buildup to residential schools, and we're gonna get into that. Let me just get this precept. Right, so the wicked men thought that it was right to go to the Gadite lands and steal children away from their parents, right? They stole these children away from their parents and put them in boarding schools far away from home, where there was times when they could only see the children. Salakia, hold up. Right, so there was only times they could see the children on a Sunday for a few hours, right? Or a child would have to make a long journey back to where his family lived for a few hours just to get back to the residential school by nighttime. And this would happen for years of that child's life, right? So Salakia, sir, can you hear me now? Right, if you could hear the audio clearly, put a 1 in the chat.
Yeah, it looks like Salakia, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Khan, I can hear you. Khan, I can hear you.
It sounds like, it looks like when I move, it looks like it's lagging too.
Khan, it might
Maybe.
just be, our oppressors are the devil. They don't want this truth to come out. So we'll just leave it at that. But Salakia, do you have that precept?
Khan, sir, you said Proverbs 29 and 2, right?
Khan, Proverbs 29 and 2.
Khan, Proverbs chapter 29 and verse 2. And it reads, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked
Right?
fear rule, or Salakia.
Nah, you can continue. You can finish it out.
But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
Right? So when the righteous are in authority, everybody will rejoice. When the wicked rule, right? Gadites mourn. Whenever the wicked are in authority, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they start to mourn. Shalaki, I'm just looking for something right quick. Not sure if I have the right one. Bear with me one moment. Shalakia. Not sure if I got the right one. Okay, right? So what we're going to read about is about 200 years before residential schools, religious orders, right? So Edomites who were Christians and Catholics, they ran the schooling system for First Nation. First Nations weren't allowed to give their children a proper education without the say so of the oppressors, right? So let's get back to this article for a quick second. Residential schools were created by Christian churches and the Canadian government as an attempt to both, right? So now you're going to listen to a lie. This is the lie, right? To both educate and convert Indigenous youth and to assimilate them into Canadian society, right? So education, they never gave a damn about the education of the Gadites, right? Convert the Gadites into Christians is definitely what they wanted to do. They wanted those Gadite children to be good slaves, right? So previously, our Gadite brothers and sisters, they were basically, they were strong. They were a strong nation, right? And they were so strong that they were a rich nation. They had horses and lots of land. They knew how to farm the land. Oppressors came here off the boats and they didn't know how to farm the land, right? Gadites were good at also going to war. So good at going to war that during the Beaver Wars, which is the wars for Hudson Bay, Upper Canada, and New France for the beaver trade and the fur trade, the certain Edomites, they enlisted the help of the Gadites to fight other Gadites for the lands, right? So those Edomites, they knew that these Gadite children were going to grow up to be warriors. They were going to grow up to be strong, right? So we're going to get more into it. Right, so these Edomites, they knew that the Gadites were gonna grow up to be strong, right? So here's a quick picture of some Gadite students at a residential school, right? So let's keep this right here. What were residential schools? Residential schools were government-sponsored schools ran by churches, right? Now, they say the purpose of the residential schools was to educate and to convert Indigenous youth to assimilate them into society, right? So basically, the term they used was kill the Indian, save the child, right? So they knew if they basically wanted to, they know that if you kill the spirit of any warrior, he will be a good slave, right? Just like they did to the Judite tribes, to the Benjamite tribes, and the Levite tribes, where they killed the spirit through molestation, through buck breaking, through rape, through murder. They would kill the spirit of those men and those women. And then those women would do what they say. So that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to wipe out the spirit of the Gadites, right? And so-called assimilate them, right? That just means Salakia. Let's just get the definition of assimilate, right? We're just going to get the definition of assimilate right quick. Hold up. Assimilate. Right? So for the definition of assimilate, we have take in information, ideas, or culture and understand fully, right? So they wanted the Gadite children to take in the culture of Europeans and understand fully the culture of Europeans, right? With that happening, the culture of the Native American would die. And that's what they wanted, right? An estimated 150,000 children attended residential schools. All right. So That's letting you know how many children, the children that attended these residential schools. They're saying an estimated 150,000 children attended these residential schools, right? Now, they're saying also that an estimated 6,000 children died at residential schools. These records are very incomplete. Slovakia. One second. Hey, Shalom, Officer Shariwan Yahabashim Shabrak. Good to have you back, sir. Officer Adiyar.
Yeah, Bashim Shabrak.
Shalom, I came out Bashim Shabrak. Salakia, my internet giving problems today, man.
Khan, sir. The oppressor is the devil. We know. Right. So an estimated 6,000 children died at residential schools. In total, over 130 residential schools operated in Canada between 1831 and 1996. So that's letting you know that's not far off from, we're in 2021 right now, right? So that's 21 years since the 2000s. Add 2000, that's 22. Now go back 4 years, that's 26 years ago, right? So the last residential school operated 26 years ago. That's to show you that our oppressors are devils, and they definitely don't care. And they've committed major crimes, right? Major crimes against blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right? The Gadites were they were forced into these residential schools, right? And the children, they went through torture and pain, right? So 200 years before the first residential school, religious orders were running the schools, and that's a precursor to the government's residential schools, right? We had the Mohawk Institute becoming a border school, and that was ran by the Slovakia. That was ran by the Angelic Church. I probably butchered that, but that was the first government-funded residential school in Canada, right? Government reports recommended children be separated from parents to assimilate into Western culture, right? So that's what they wanted. They wanted to assimilate and destroy the culture of these Gadite children. The Mohawk Institute in Bradford, Ontario, accepted its first boarding students in 1831, right? So the town of Brantford in Ontario, they committed crimes against the Gadites. There are, right, not far from the Brantford, Ontario, there are many reservations, right? And all you have to do is go on your Google machine and type in reservations and type in Bradford, Ontario, and you can see the close proximity, right? So they forced these children onto reservations. Then they went onto the reservations and forced these children into residential schools. The Gordon Residential School in Punichi, Saskatchewan, closed in 1996, right? So again, that's 26 years ago. That's when it closed. They opened in more than a century ago, right? 1831, and they closed in 1996. It was the last federally funded residential school in Canada, right? So let's see if we can get some more of this article right quick. The last residential school closed in 1996. Growiller Hall, which closed in 1997, was not a state-run residential school in that year. Since then, former students have demanded recognition and restitution
resulting in the Indian Residential Schools Settlement Agreement in 2007, a formal public apology by a devil, Prime Minister Stephen Harper, in 2008. Right, so they got a formal apology, but that did nothing because the Gadites are still going missing. The Gadites are still suffering from drugs and being plagued with disease in their land. Right, so that apology literally did nothing. It's 2021, and they got an apology. Words don't do anything. You have to show by your deeds, by your actions. In total, an estimated 150,000 First Nation, Inuit, and Métis children attended residential schools. Right? We're going to jump down. So we got some... Slovakia, 1 second. So early residential schools in New France and Upper Canada. Residential schools have a long history in Canada. The first residential facilities were developed in New France by Catholic missionaries to provide care and schooling. However, colonial governments were unable to force Indigenous people to participate in the schools. The First Nation people were largely independent, and Europeans depended on them economically and militarily for survival. Right? So, as I was saying earlier, right? So we're going to get rid of that for now. So as I was saying earlier, that the Europeans, they depended on the Gadites for economics, and they also depended on the Gadites for military, right? And they knew that the Gadites were strong in military, right? They knew how to go to war. So they depended on them to fight the other Gadites that they couldn't fight for the fur trade. Right? So Trooper Urad, can you get me Deuteronomy 28 and 15? Baba Kasha? And whenever you have it, let me know. Salakia, your mic is on mute. Salakia, I can't hear you. You might need to back out and get back in, or try it again. Right. So what? Yeah, Salakia, you're freezing up. You might need to back out and jump back in. Troop Officer Shayuan, can Baba Kasha, can you get me Deuteronomy 28 and 15?
Khan.
The water. 1 moment. Give me 1 moment. Right quick.
Khan.
Just pull that up for me, Baba Kasha. All right. Whenever you have it, you could drop it.
Khan. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right. So the precursor to this was us being told, right? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that if we keep the Most High's commandments and walk in his ways, that we'd be high above all nations, right? So what Officer Shayaran just read was, if we didn't keep the Lord's commandments, if we didn't listen to the Lord, what would happen to us, right? So there was curses that we would have to go through, right? And us going through those curses, what we were slaughtered, we were led to destruction, right? We were forced into the ghettos and onto reservations and in the barrios. That's what happened when we didn't follow the Most High's instructions and walk in his ways, right? So, Baba Kasha, can you continue reading?
Verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Right? So when those filthy European devils came off the boats, they found Gadites in the fields, right? They found them living rich, full of horses, full of land, full of buffalo, right? And they decided that, damn, we're gonna use these Gadites to help us survive until the perfect opportunity. And just like our oppressors, their spirit is a serpent, right? They lay in the grass and they wait for the right time to strike. Like, you see a snake and it might look like it's not so dangerous and it might be coiled up, and as soon as you get close, it lunges at you. It waits for the right time. Our oppressors are predators. They'll always be predators, right? So they seen the Gadites in the field, and they decided to attack and destroy them and push them into the reservations. Read that one more time, Ak.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
Right? So the Gadites were cursed in the field. Right? So they were cursed in the field, right? And those curses, they basically destroyed us and destroyed our brothers and sisters, and they've been suffering from those curses since. And because the devil tried to give them their own book back and use it to hurt them, General Muhammad, he gave an excellent breakdown on how, Salakia, one moment. He gave an excellent breakdown on how non-Israelites and sometimes Israelites use the Bible to hurt people. And that's their purpose for using this Bible. They use it so they can hurt people. Right? Salakia, hide that one. Let's not keep in mind that Black Watch is going to be on tonight. Commanding General YAHANNA has Black Watch on tonight on YouTube. You just got to go search Commanding General YAHANNA. It's live every Monday night at 9 p.m. Go watch it. Go take it in. It's the Black CNN. If you want to hear news about your people, go watch Black Watch. Just a reminder.
Right, sir. Can you hear me?
Knock, I can hear you. Right, so the Europeans took the Native Americans' own constitution, their own history book, and decided to use it against them, right? And they wanted to use it to hurt them, because that's what devils do. They decide to use things to hurt. They want to kill. They want to hurt you, right? So they took that book and hurt them. To this day, the Gadites, they fear the Bible. They want nothing to do with it, not knowing that it's their book, is their history, right? The most Hebrew artifacts are found in the Western Hemisphere, in South America, where the Gadites and the Northern Kingdom landed at first, right? Before they spread out into the North Americas. So, Trooper Urad, can you get me Deuteronomy 28 and 21 and hold it? Right. So there was You know what? Yeah, we could. You could bring that out right now, right? You could bring that out right now, actually. So, as the Europeans came and they landed and they docked on the shores of North America, they seen the Gadites and they knew they needed the Gadites to survive, right? So at first it was peace, right? And it was so much peace that the North American Native American Indians and Salakia, the Gadites and the Europeans, they fought side by side against their own people. It was so much peace that the devils, right, the oppressors, they convinced the Gadites that it's a good idea to fight their own people over the beaver fur trade, right? Where Gad had wars amongst themselves a few times, like just like any nation. Any nation has infighting at any time, right? There's Israel. We're a warrior. We're a tribe of warriors. 12 tribes of warriors, and we've been fighting. That's how we got the land of Israel. We walked out of Egypt and walked in the desert for 40 years until the mixed multitude was killed off, and then we went into the promised land that flowed with milk and honey, and we started fighting the other nations to get our land, just like the Most High told us, right? And those were righteous battles. The battles that the Gadites were fighting against each other weren't righteous. They weren't showing brotherhood at all, right? And they fought wars for their oppressors, right? The oppressor made them weak, right? And as he made them weak, he decided that one day he's going to turn on them, right? But before that, right, the Gadites would fall to disease, and then the swords of the oppressors. They were getting diseases because they were intermarrying with oppressors, right? That's why you could go on the reservations right now. What was happening then is happening now. You can go on the reservations right now and you'll see oppressors talking about their Gadites when we know they're not, right? Your father was a European, your mother was a Gadite. You are not a Gadite. You are European. You're an Edomite, right? You are a devil, the devil the Bible speaks of, right? Trooper Urad, can you drop that precept whenever you got it?
God, sir, if you don't mind, can you repeat the Deuteronomy verse?
You're in the 28th chapter. Bring me to verse 21, Ak.
God, sir.
Kashah.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 21. And it reads, the Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until
Salakia, Ak.
he has consumed thee.
Salakia, Ak. What is pestilence, Trooper Urad?
God, sir, God. Pestilence, so AIDS, any diseases, more or less.
Khan. Let's get that trooper a hand. Right? So pestilence is diseases, right? When you sleep with whores, when you sleep with dogs, you come up with fleas. That's a old saying from the world, where you sleep with dogs, you'll come up with fleas. I don't exactly know where that saying came from, but it rings true in this moment. Gadites would intermarry with oppressors, and they would get diseases, right? And let's not just leave it at Gadites would sleep with oppressors and get diseases, right? The oppressors gave the Gadites diseases on purpose, and that didn't happen through sex, right? That the diseases I'm talking about is smallpox, right? They gave Gadites blankets with smallpox. They gave them clothes and things that had smallpox disease in it, right? So while the Lord was striking the oppressors with disease for the crimes that they were committing, right? Because in the South Americas, Columbus and the Spaniards, they were taking the northern kingdom back to Spain, back to Rome to be slaves, back to the European islands to be slaves, right? So while the Most High was striking them with pestilence and disease, they turned around and said, you know what? Let's just do some chemical warfare, right? The same chemical warfare that they're doing right now, which is drugs in the community, right? Crack, heroin, crystal meth. Right now they got pills. The doctors are prescribing pills, knowing that it's going to get people highly addicted, right? So they gave the Gadites diseases. They gave them smallpox. Read that one more time, Trooper Yerad.
Hold on. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 21. It reads, the Lord shall make the pestilence cleave unto thee until he have consumed thee from off the land, whether thou goest to possess it.
Khan, right? So the Gadites were given the Americas land to possess. That was the land that they were given. You can find that in the Apocrypha, Second Ezra, right? You could find that in the Apocrypha, Second Ezra's. It's somewhere in there. The chapter and verses is escaping me at the moment, but it's definitely in there, right? So they left captivity and came over here so they could keep the laws. Eventually, they stopped keeping the laws. They started worshiping idols, right? And the Lord sent oppressors to be over them because they didn't want to walk in the ways of the Lord, right? And that's how it always goes. Whenever Israel doesn't want to walk in the ways of the Lord, we oppressors are sent to punish us. That's the role of the oppressors in the earth. They're here to be our punishment until we come back to the Most High. Once we come back to the Most High, and once we start walking in his statutes and commandments, which make up the law, right? His law, statutes, and commandments, then our oppressors will be our captives, right? So we're gonna get into that. Our oppressors will definitely be their captives. Will be Our oppressors will definitely be our captives once we start walking in the ways of the Lord, right? So what happened was they got diseases, and the diseases made them weak. From the diseases, they got the sword. The sword killed them and forced them into other lands. They were basically being removed from the good parts of the land that they had, right? That's why our Gadite brothers and sisters, they're up north in northern Ontario, where it's hard to build. There's no skyscrapers in northern Ontario. It's hard to build up there. There's like you got like under the earth, and which is not far under the earth, you got rock that's hard to jackhammer. You got to basically blow it up. Like if you ever took in a 400 all the way up until you get to Highway 11 or Highway 17, you'll see that it's just rock, right? It's just heavy rock, right? And a lot of times they don't even move the rock. They got to blow through it, right? So we're going to get more into it. One moment. I got a quick little video for you. Now the video for the audio for this video is not the best, so you just kind of got to read along for what this Gadite's saying. But he's gonna let you know exactly what was going on during these times, right?
I went in there when I was at the age of 6 in 1958. I was just being led to the school. I was quite excited initially because of the excitement of seeing my other kids and friends, and I looked forward to it. In fact, soon that turned around quite drastically as we started to set some rules down. I was admitted in there 10 months of the year without having any visitations other than a couple hours every Sunday. And then we go back again in the evening. So that was the routine that we did. We had to go strict rules about behavior and the dorms and use of washrooms. You couldn't use a washroom at night. You had to sneak over there if you wanted to go badly, but that was against the rules. We were punished if we were caught. We were caught going to the washroom at night. Couldn't even get a drink of water. And if you got caught, I saw some boys older ones get caught with drinking water. And punishment they were given, caught with a royal in a can. They were made to drink them until it make them sick. That was the punishment for getting caught drinking water. So those kind of things that happened there in those times. And there was prayer times. It was early morning mass, 6:30 on there. We'd get awakened up by a clapper, like this wooden thing that the sister used. Tuck, tuck, tuck. And we'd all get up. If you didn't get up in time, you were slapped around. The nun would run over and slap you and wake you up.
Did you ever receive that electric chair they talked about?
It was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, on Sunday afternoon. And then when I went to the locker room to take off my clothes, and then I went into the boys' room, and that's when the boys started to tell me that there was going to be, they're gonna do the electric chair on us. They couldn't describe it. So when it was brought in, I was starting to feel leery and worried and scared. All those three combination of emotions. And then we were told we're going to be electrocuted. And I said, well, I wonder what that means. What electric.
All right, so we're gonna leave that right there. Right, I'm gonna leave this. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna leave this picture up for a quick second.
So I just looked at the chair. Was quite.
Actually, we'll remove it for a second. Right, so that was taken. Right, we don't need this no more. That was a lot to take in, right? So the so-called nuns, the same so-called nuns that are supposed to be of the Lord and with the Holy Spirit, right? They're supposed to be good Slakia. They're supposed to be righteous people, they were the ones that were abusing and beating our Gadite brothers and sisters, right? This brother just said that you couldn't use the washroom in the nighttime, right? Now, as a grown man, and for all the women watching, we know that when you gotta go, you gotta go. Like, it's very uncomfortable to have to use the washroom in the nighttime and can't go, right? Yeah, that'll mess up your whole sleeping habit. And then on top of that, these Gadite children got to be woken up at 6:30, right? So they were basically like, the brother basically said that if they got caught trying to use the washroom or go for a drink of water in the middle of the night, that they would basically be beaten and they would be forced to drink cod liver oil, right, until you got sick. And then you wonder why there was so many deaths around the Gadite children, right? And let's see if I could put pictures. Officer Shariwan, can you bring me to Deuteronomy 28 and 25, Baba Kasha?
Donna, whenever you're ready.
Right. One moment. I'm just looking for the right picture. Hold up. The right picture. I need the right picture. Right. So this picture right here, that's the perfect one. Let's do a quick little roll call. Salakia. Shalom to Castro. Shalom to Gary. Thawada for tuning in. Like and share this video. Thumb up the video. Right? Like and share this video. Thumb up the video. Right? So our Gadite brothers and sisters, if they were to go and get a drink of water in the nighttime, they would be forced to drink cod liver oil until they're sick, right? And damn, if you're from the Caribbean, you know what it's like to drink cod liver oil. Every Benjamite's parent made them take a teaspoon of that cod liver oil every morning before they went out to school. Right, and that's just like, because the fish oils are good, but now imagine drinking cod liver oil until you're sick. You wanted water? All right, we're not gonna give you water. We're gonna give you cod liver oil, right? And that's what they were doing. Whenever you're ready, you could drop it, Doc.
God, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 25. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth.
Right. So this basically describes the trials and tribulations that Gad and Judah went through, that the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom went through. Right. So again, at first, the Gadites, they were kind of at peace with the devils. Then they started to go to war with them. Right. So we would go and we'd win one battle, right? And you know what happens when you kill Cain? You got to pay for it. So we'd win one battle, and as we win the one, we lose 7, right? We run to the field to go fight one way, and we end up fleeing 7 different ways, right? And that's how the Gadite brothers got pushed onto the reservations, right? That's how we got pushed into the into the ghettos, but specifically the Gadite brothers and sisters, they got pushed into the reservations because they were fighting against Esau, right? And you kill Esau, he's gonna be revenged sevenfold, right? Like Melech said, if Esau shall be revenged sevenfold, Melech would be revenged 70-fold, 77-fold, right? So that's to let you know, when the Gadites fought wars with the oppressors, the devil the Bible speaks of, the white man, that they lost these battles because the Lord wasn't with them. When the Lord's not with you, you can't do anything, right? You could get surgery, or you could get any type of medicine for any type of disease or sickness you're going through, and if the Lord is not with you, that surgery, that medicine is not going to work, right? Once the Lord is not with you, you're destroyed. You're going to be destroyed. You're going to be enslaved. You're going to be sent to residential schools. Once the Lord is not with you, you're going to get pulled over by police officers and shot down in the street, right? Because the Lord he's just not with you at the moment. He's making you a public example, right? For the rest of the Israelites to look at and be like, damn, what happened with this brother? What he do wrong? And our Gadite brothers, they do everything except turn back to the Lord, right? You've been burning sage for so long and it hasn't defeated the white man, right? What are you going to do? You got to come back to the Lord and get in this school, the I.S.U.P.K. This is the only place that cares about you, right? So we fought one way and had to run out 7 different ways, right? And a lot of times you'll have brothers try to say, well, Native Americans aren't Israelites. I can't see the curses for the Native Americans, and we're gonna show them, right? So first we're gonna start with a curse that Judah went through. We're gonna start with a curse that Judah went through, and then we're gonna show you like the rest of the curses that was for Gad, right? So keep in mind, they were drinking cod liver oil until they were sick, right? So let's see something. Share this right quick. Right, 1 second. Let's see if I can get it a little better. Slovakia. Right. Well, if you can see, these are tombstones, right? Let's see how many we can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6. This right here, this whole area in the front, that's 6. That's not even letting you know how big the field is, right? In the back, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's more than 10 over there, more than 15 in the back, right? Look at the first tombstone if you can see it. It says Lucy Pretty Eagle, right? This is a child. This is a girl, right? The next one says Jack something. I can't see the rest, but these are Gadite children's, right? This is the result of drinking cod liver oil until you're sick. This is the result of murder and beatings from so-called nuns that are supposed to be holy. They're supposed to be righteous, right? But again, the wicked go astray as soon as they're born, right? Let's see if we can get another picture right quick. We're gonna stop the share for a second, see if we can get another picture of these Gadite graves. Salakia, one moment. Right, so we got another one coming up. right? We're going to show you another picture of what the Gadites were going through, right? And this one hurts. This one hurts a lot. This is a very sad picture to look at, right? So keep in mind, these so-called nuns and fathers and religious leaders that were supposed to be of the Lord, right? And no Edomite can be of the Lord. They're not in the covenant. They can't be a saint, right? We know that. Once you come into the ISUPK, you put away the love of your slave master. There's no love in your slave master when you're in the ISUPK. You get in this school and we're going to make you strong. We're going to turn you into warriors, right, for the men, and turn the daughters of Zion into princesses and good sisters, good daughters, and good wives, while we turn the men into warriors and good husbands, good brothers. So we're going to hold up. Let me get the next one right here. Look at this picture right here. This picture is Gadite children. They are playing in the graveyard. These are the graves of their brothers and sisters, right? And these devils, they're taking pictures of these Gadite children like it's nothing, right? So you can see that Gadite children were being murdered, right? They took children from mothers and fathers just to murder them, just to molest them and murder them, right? I got another video that we're gonna play. Bear with me one moment. I just got it quick. Trooper Uriah, can you bring me to Deuteronomy 28 and 30, Baba Kasha? Right, I gotta get another video file right quick for you.
Concept. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 30. So, can you guys hear me?
Khan, I got you. I can hear you. Whenever you got it, drop it.
Concept.
Salakia,
This is the book of
I
Deuteronomy
can't
chapter
hear you.
28 and verse 30. Thou shalt be thrust.
Salakia, you're breaking up. You might have to back out and come back in, Salakia. Officer Shariwan, can you get me Deuteronomy 28 and 30, Baba Kasha? Once again, don't forget,
Kana.
Black Watch is going to be live tonight
This is the
under
book of
Command of
Deuteronomy.
General YAHANNA. Right, that's every Monday, 9 p.m. on YouTube. Make sure you go watch it. Right after this tape, Black Watch will be on live tonight, commanding General YAHANNA. Black Watch, he's going to be with the generals, right? The heavy hitters of Israel every Monday night, 9 p.m. Duara, you can read.
Kana. This is Deuteronomy 28 and verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
Right. So that's a curse that you could clearly see, like you could recognize that curse for Judah, right? You could recognize that curse for Benjamin and for Levi. But that same curse applies to the Gadites, right? Because the Gadites, they would have wives and they would be taken, right? They would build a house, and during the Trail of Tears, that house would be taken, right? So just after this, we're gonna get into that video. So the Gadites, leading up to residential schools, they had the Trail of Tears. We're gonna do a whole class on the Trail of Tears eventually, right? Whenever they were uprooted from the west, basically there was a president, I believe his name was Salakia. If it's not Andrew Jackson, it was a president or a general. He put out the decree that the Gadites had to be moved from the west, right? Because the west was too wild, according to Edomites. They would go kill Gadites, and the Gadites would come and fight back, because at the end of the day, the Gadites were warriors, and they knew how to they knew how to ride horses and shoot you with a bow and arrow off a horse, right? Riding a horse, giddy up, giddy up, giddy up, boom, the bow and arrow shot you, right? Pierced through two Edomites, right? So when that started happening, they're like, oh, these Gadites are too wild. We got to do something about it, right? So to make this breakdown quick, like they uprooted the Gadites. They called it the Trail of Tears. The Gadites had runaway slaves living amongst them, right? Now, there's a myth that says that the Gadites had blacks as slaves. That's not really true, right? The Gadites just knew that if they didn't write down that these black men were slaves, that the white men would come and turn around and say they're runaways, right? So during this Trail of Tears, they got marched from the west into Oklahoma. That's how you got to Tosca, Oklahoma, right? Because the blacks and browns, they gathered together, and they were with the Gadites, right? And they moved together. They lost all their belongings together, right? So that's a curse that you can see it happen for the Gadites and the tribe of Judah, right? So Salakia. Right after that, we're gonna get into some more curses, but let's get into this video right quick. Right, we're gonna get into this video right quick. Let's bring it back, cue it up to right here.
They used to, when I was a little girl, when the principal used to beat up the other children, like boys. The boys got the most beating. They used to call it bench party, and it was usually done after supper. And that's where I got frightened, because I saw blood.
I remember when we had to shower.
Wait, I gotta pause that for a quick second. Did the Akim hear that? Right? That sister said that these oppressors would beat the Gadite children, and they would call it a bench party, right? And this would usually happen after dinner time, right? They would beat these children bloody, right? We just saw a picture of children playing in Gadite graves, right? And there we saw another picture with tombstones, right? And there was about 20 tombstones, right? Full disclosure, in the 90s, they were going around residential schools and searching these residential schools that were still in existence, the structures that were still in existence, and they were looking for Gadite bones. They were looking for the mass graves of Gadite children, because these oppressors are so devilish. They would kill children by in large numbers, right? They would get drunk, they would go and molest and rape these children, and some children would fight back, and the ones that fought back they would kill. They would even kill children even when they didn't fight back, because they just wanted to kill children, right? And they buried these children in mass graves, right? This sister said that they had bench parties and they would beat them until they seen blood, right? Just let that settle in, right? You want to go sleep with your oppressor, you want to love your oppressor, you want to act like your oppressor is your brother, when they were murdering Gadite children and dumping them in mass graves, right? And mass grave is when you dig a hole and you just toss the bodies in. There's no wrapping you in linen like a Israelite proper burial. There's no dousing your body in sacred oils like a proper Israelite burial, right? They would just kill these children and throw their bodies into holes, right? So they knew about these mass graves, and they kept looking for these mass graves and kept looking for these mass graves, and eventually they found too many mass graves and they just stopped looking because they know they're there, right? To a point where you could, now I'm not suggesting you do this, but you could go on residential schools right now and the old grounds of those old residential schools and start looking around and start digging around and start excavating, and you're going to find mass graves of Gadite children. Right? So we're going to get back into this video a little, watch some more.
You want to have to show me how to shower and clean and wash myself, how to wash my private parts of your body. You don't have to show a kid once or twice at the most, but not every day. And have the supervisor come in there and basically take advantage of you,
I just remember arriving there and donning new clothes and, of course, getting a haircut and sitting in a classroom and being with other girls and witnessing my brother get punched by the supervisor.
My name is Alice Lydia. I'm 78 years old. I spent about 8 years in residential school.
My name is Raymond Mason. I'm 62 years old, and I attended residential school for 12 years.
I'm Madeline Dion Stout. I'm 62 years old. I'm from the Kihiwan First Nation in Alberta. I attended Blue Quills Residential School for 36 consecutive months, 3 years.
In order to educate the children properly, we must separate them from their families. Some people may say that this is hard, but if we want to civilize them, we must do that. A federal cabinet minister, 1883.
I remember them taking me away from my mother and my stepfather. And I can hear them telling my mom that that was the best thing for me, and that not to worry. I would be looked after.
Our parents didn't want to worry us unduly and tell us and warn us we are going to be separated for a long, long time with barely a visit.
I see him come around, Indian agent in a boat with the principal, and then collect some children from the reserve.
All right, so we're gonna leave it right there, right? So you could clearly see, and Akim, anytime y'all want to say something, just chime in, right? So you could clearly see that like these like that sister, she said she's 78 years old, and she spent years on reservations, right? One sister said 7 years. The brother said damn near 12 years. Now keep in mind, you're in that, I said reservation, Salakia. They spend years in those residential schools, right? Being molested. That brother basically told you as a child, right? And for parents, parents know you don't have to show your child when he gets to a certain age, when she gets to a certain age, how to do too many things, right? Meaning that once your child gets to a certain age and you show them how to wash themselves in the shower, they damn near do it by themselves. You don't even have to watch them. You don't have to even look over them. Hey, here's your towel, here's your soap up your loofah, go in the shower, it's not too hot. I'm gonna be sitting on the toilet reading this magazine. You shower and or you'll be doing your thing around the house and you'll just go check in on your child to make sure they're not playing in the water. Because that's what most children do. They play in the water, right? But this Gadite brother was basically saying that every time that they had to go take a shower, there was some priest in there who would go in and take advantage of them, right? And that basically means he would molest them. He would sexually assault them. The Catholic Church is a filthy, disgusting place, and the Lord needs to burn every one of them down, right? You can see it till this day. The Catholic Church what they do is a priest will molest a boy, they'll change the priest's name and move that priest, right? And if you don't believe me, go check the news and go check out the culture of the Catholic school board, right? About 2 years ago, there's some Catholic school at St. Clair West and Bathurst where the boys in that school, they held down a boy and they violated that boy with broomsticks. And they said it was a hazing ritual. Really, what that is what they learned from their priest. I can almost guarantee you that those boys have someone in their family or their priest that touched them before, right? And they thought the only way that they had those demons on them now, right? They seen their priest taught them something and they went and did it to another student, to another child, right? You can see the fruit of the Catholic Church, right? And that fruit is rotten, it's poison, it's no good, right? Keep in mind that a lot of times these Gadite brothers and sisters, they are only allowed to go see their family for one, maybe a few hours, once 1 week, 1 day out of the week, right? A federal cabinet minister in 1883 said that it's best for the Gadite children not to be in the custody of their Gadite mothers and fathers, right? I got a quote right quick that we're gonna bring up. We don't need this video anymore, so we're gonna get rid of it. Trooper Urad, bring me to Deuteronomy 28 and 31. And hold up. Officer Shariwan, get me Leviticus 26 and 22. Baba Kasha, Akim. Right? 1 second. I just want to share there's a couple more things. Right? So we're going to share this right quick, and it's going to be a quote. Right? Salakia, that's not the one I want. We'll get that in a second. Not that. I think it's this one. All right, yeah, that's the one we want right there. Right, give me 1 second. We're gonna get to it. But Trooper Yerad, you can read that. You can read that precept, Baba Kasha.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 31. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 31. It reads, so like I said, you said verse 28 and 31?
Kanak.
Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy teeth shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them.
Right, so that is basically Salakia. I can't get it, so I'll bring that up in a second. So read that one more time, Ak.
Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them.
Right, so what that is talking about is that's talking about a time when the oppressor went and killed all of the buffalo. Right? So the oppressor killed all of the buffalo, and they figured that if you kill all the buffalo, it would starve out the Gadites, because the Gadites ate buffalo. They hunted and they lived off the land. Right? Gadites traveled around the Western Hemisphere, and they moved with their herds. Right? They always weren't in one spot. Right? They were always on the go. Right? So the oppressor came up with the scorched earth trials, right? They would basically go around and kill all the buffalo, and they would basically kill the buffalo so the Gadites couldn't eat, right? And these are the curses that the Gadites went through. This topic is about residential schools, but we also are going through some of the curses that the Gadites went through, because a lot of times the Gadites, people want to say that the Gadites aren't Israelites, right? And they don't fit the curses of Deuteronomy, right? But those are fake Israelites. And the I.S.U.P.K, the home of the truth, we know that the Gadites are our brothers and sisters, right? So they basically hired buffalo soldiers, which were black men, to go and kill the buffalo. That's why you have that devil Bob Marley. He has a song Buffalo Soldier, right? And before we were in the truth, we sang that song not knowing what it meant. Right? Like there's a cartoon I used to watch where they sang a song, and it's like, and part of the song they said people started singing it not knowing what it meant, right? And that rings true to today, where we sing songs from devils and we don't know what it meant. The Buffalo Soldiers were black soldiers enlisted by Edomites to kill the buffalo, right? So I'm going to show you a picture of how devilish these Edomites were. Slovakia, one moment. Hold up. Cancel that. Let's try to get it again. Right, so we're going to share this. Right, so look at this picture right here. This is a mountain of buffalo skulls, right? You see an oppressor right here at the top of the mountain. You see an oppressor at the bottom of the mountain. Look how tall this oppressor is. That's a fully grown man. Now, you can fit almost 4 of him stacked on top of each other, standing straight up to the top of the buffalo mountain, right? And these buffalo heads, they were going to be grinded up and used for fertilizer, right? The white man is the devil the Bible speaks of. He killed all these buffaloes knowing that the Gadites would be hungry, right? And there's a, like, when we do the Trail of Tears breakdown in a few weeks from now, you're gonna see how the white man is such a devil for killing all these buffaloes, right? So we're gonna stop that screen share for a second. We're gonna share the screen one more time, and we're gonna read a quote from we're gonna read 2 quotes right quick, right? Right, let me see something right quick. Bear with me. Right, so the reservation era begins 1850 to 1878, 1865 to 1903. Annihilation of the buffalo by military and hunters. Kill every buffalo you can. Every buffalo dead is an Indian gone. This is from General Dodge, right? General Sherman is responsible for developing the strategy for conquering the Plains Indians, right? So there was a strategy developed, just like there was a strategy developed to kill the Native American, our Gadite brothers, just like there was a strategy developed to kill Judah, right? By flooding our neighborhoods with drugs, right? So just in Israelites in general, they flooded all our neighborhoods with drugs, right? So we're gonna get rid of that. We don't need that no more. I'm gonna read another thing right quick for you. Right, the great aim of our legislation has been to do away with the tribal system and assimilate the Indian people in all respects with other inhabitants of the Dominion as speedily as they are fit to change. Right, this is from a devil. This devil was the first prime minister, John A. Macdonald. Right, they still have statues of this man. His aim was to destroy Gadite culture. right? His aim was to destroy First Nation culture, right? That was a quick quote, right? So now we're gonna, for the last bit of this class, we're gonna go through some more curses that the Gadites had to go through, right? Salakia, can you have that Leviticus? What was it? Leviticus 26 and 22. Officer Sharyuan, can you read the Leviticus 26 and 22 for me, Baba Kasha? Salakia, I can't hear you. You might. I can't hear you at all, Ak. You know the oppressors, they be trying to mess up this stream, so we don't get this truth out. But this truth, no matter what you do, this truth is gonna spread. The Gadites around the world, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans around the world are gonna hear this truth,
Salaki,
right?
sir, can you hear me?
Khan, I can hear you.
Khan, sir, if you like, I can read the Leviticus scripture, so I got it handy here.
Khan, can you read the Leviticus 22 for us? 26 and 22, Baba Kasha. While we wait for Officer Shah, you want to get back in, and then after that, jump right back to Deuteronomy 28 chapter. After you finish reading the scripture, jump right back to Deuteronomy 28 and hold 32 for me, Baba Kasha.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 22. The book of Leviticus chapter 26 and verse 22. I will also send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your children, and destroy your cattle, and make you few in number, and your highways shall be desolate.
Right? One more time from the top. That was some bars. Right? One more time from the top, Ak. Salakia, before anybody watching, please hit that sign out link. There's a sign out link if you're looking for Hebrew benefits. You're trying to get your name. Hit that sign out link. Read, Ak.
Sir. Leviticus 26 and verse 22. I will also send wild beasts among you, which shall rob you of your children, and destroy your cattle, and make you few in number.
Right?
And your
this
highways shall be desolate.
Khan, I'll hold that right there. Hold that right there. Right? So you this is letting you know it's gonna send wild beasts. Our oppressors are like beasts. They're like rabid animals. They are predators. They are the super predators of the world. Hillary Clinton, that damn disgusting devil, she got it wrong when she called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans super predators. The real super predator of the earth is the white man. Right? He's the one that goes around raping, robbing, and murdering. Right? Let's read that one more time. I will also send wild beasts. The white man is a wild beast, right? And which shall rob you. He stole lands and stole peoples, right? And destroy your cattle, right? He destroyed all the buffalo. Damn near to the buffalo is extinct. Now you can only see buffalo when you go down to Hyde Park. Right? You see bison and buffalo when you go down to Hyde Park. They're in cages. Before the buffalo and the bison, it would just roam free throughout the land. So much, right? They would eat so much, and the land was so fertile because there was so much buffalo. If you know anything, that cattle, right? Cattle and livestock, they eat and nature calls. and they go right in the grass, right in the field. What their excrements, right? Their feces falls into the grass and it fertilizes the grass. That's why this land was so fertile, right? Because there was so much livestock and cattle just roaming around, eating and fertilizing the ground, right? To the point where when they killed all the buffalo, they had to grind up the buffalo heads to fertilize the ground because there's nothing fertilizing the ground no more, right? So this precept, you could precept it with Deuteronomy 28 and 31, right? Our oppressors, they stole children, right? And they locked up children in these prisons and called them residential schools when they were prisons, right? Trooper Urad, bring me to Deuteronomy 28 and 32.
Come on, sir. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 32. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fall with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be might in thy hand.
Right. One more time, Ak.
Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people,
Right. So the Gadite
and
children,
thine eyes shall look.
Salakia, the Gadite children would be sent to residential schools. They'd be given onto their oppressors. Right. Read.
Answer. And thy eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thy hand.
Right. So for 12 years, a Gadite child would be stripped from its parent, and that child would be molested, if not murdered. That child would be raped, if not killed. Right. And the Gadites would just look and they would long for their children. And there was no might in their hand to fight anymore because they went against the Lord and they decided to slaughter their brothers and sisters with the Edomites, right? Go and research the Beaver Wars. We're going to get into that eventually. The Beaver Wars is when the Gadites decided to fight their own people alongside oppressors for the fur trade, right? When killing beavers is unlawful for fur. You don't need to kill beavers for fur, right? Because there's ox, there's bison, there's cows, right? You didn't need to kill a beaver for fur, right? You can't eat a beaver, so you don't need to kill it for its fur. You're just killing stuff just to kill it now, right? So during those beaver wars, Gadites fought other Gadites and they fought alongside Europeans. They fought alongside the devil the Bible speaks of. Shalom, Marshall, get in. The water for tuning in. Like and share this video. Right. Redoc.
Okay. Verse 33. The fruit of thy hand and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, thou shall be only oppressed and crushed away.
Right. So the fruit of thy land, right? The children are the fruit, right? They and all the labors, right? So all the labors that the Gadites did. So the children and all the good things and all the food that the Gadites would grow, another nation ate up, right? And the Gadites didn't get to enjoy their children, right? They were crushed. They were oppressed all way, right? They were destroyed. So da 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 ba 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 ba. Da 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 da. Jump down to 37, Ak.
Verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall have Salakia, whether the Lord shall lead thee.
Right? So just like they called the blacks niggers, and just like they called my Hispanic brothers spicks and wetbacks, they called my First Nation people First Nation. Salakia, I actually think the first Salakia, they called them First Nation, they called them Native American, they called them Indians, they called them Injuns, right? They just called them the worst things, right? And now they're in astonishment, and you look at Gad on the reservations and you ask yourself, how did Gad get that way? Right? Why is Gad so messed up right now? Why is Gad just always drinking liquor downtown and on the streets? Why do I have to see Gadites sleeping under bridges and sleeping on sidewalks when I go up to Montreal? That's because the white man's the devil, and he has to go into captivity because he's a beast. You can't make league with a beast, right? Like the only a higher power could kill a beast that has drones flying around in the air, right? There's a weapons race going on right now that no one's talking about, where China's on the dark side of the moon, Russia's putting rockets on satellites, right? That's what's going on right now. You can't defeat those people with your guns that you buy from them. You got to buy bullets from the oppressors. How you gonna go to war with them? Right? You got to get in this school, and once you get in this school and you start walking in the ways of the Lord, that's how you defeat them. Right now in Caledonia, Gadites are protesting, saying they want land back. They're not getting the land back. 7 generations from now, they're not getting the land back. 7 generations from now, the children won't have the land. The only thing they can hope for is that a black king by the name of Yahawashi, Mashiach, the Christ, comes and he puts our enemies into captivity. Right? Trooper Sharyuan, can you get me prepare slaughter? Salakia, Officer Sharyuan, can you get me prepare slaughter? Trooper Urad, go jump down to 47. 41. 41.
Come. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
Residential schools. Bring that one back.
Content. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity.
Right? They're going to go into captivity. The nuns and the rapist priests are going to be their mothers and fathers. Right? And those nuns and priests, they're such devils, they're going to utterly destroy them. Slovakia. One moment. Let's fix that real quick. Right? They're going to utterly destroy them. And that's what happened to our brothers and sisters. They were destroyed and gone into captivity. Gadite mothers and fathers, they didn't get to enjoy their children. They had to watch their children go into residential school. And a lot of the time, this is something I didn't say, but I did say it. It's just I didn't say it exactly like that. The children never, ever came back. Right? Now, I know there are parents, and myself, I'm not a parent, but I can imagine if I had a family member, I would want to kill the whole world. I have a family member that's kidnapped and never brought back. Right? And for the parents, I can't imagine your pain, but I know that that pain is deep. Right? So those children weren't ever brought back. Salakia, jump down to 45.
Answer. Verse 45. Moreover, Salakia, verse 45. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed.
Right? So for not following the Most High, curses came upon us and we were destroyed. Right? That's what happened for not following the Most High. That we had to go through these curses and we're basically destroyed. Right? Salakia. I forgot to get the rest of the sign out links. So we went through these curses and we were destroyed. And that's basically what happened. We had to go through curses and we were destroyed. Our peoples, they didn't really survive the residential schools. And if you don't believe me, just go on the reserves right now and look at the result. Right? That's the result of the residential schools on the reserves right now. You can see it. It's bad. It's not a good time on these reserves right now. It's a lot of pain. This pain is in our DNA. You go through trauma and you end up giving it to your child when that child is born. Let me get the last of these links. Okay, that was it. Right? What else do we got? Trooper Urad, jump down to, leave that right there. Jump down to 48. Baba Kasha.
So verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee.
Right, read.
Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand.
Right. So I'm gonna just break that down for you right quick. Right. So for not following the laws of the law, Native American, Hispanics, and Black people, right, we had to go through curses. We had to, a nation for whose tongue we didn't understand, we had to go serve them in hunger and in thirst, right? They put yokes of iron on our neck. Just type in American chattel slavery, and you'll see black men with yokes of iron around their neck and an iron face mask. Oppressors are complaining about face masks right now and how they don't get to go cut their hair, right? Because they haven't done that in a year. When we had to go through 500, 600 years of oppression with those face masks and slavery and our children getting taken from us and our lands getting taken from us. Right? Read.
Sir. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shew favor to the young.
Right. So that's showing you right there that this nation, it didn't care about the young or the old, right? They just didn't give a damn. They just didn't care at all. Right? 1 second. Right? So this nation did not care at all for what was happening to our peoples. Like they just didn't care. Right? They didn't care if you were young or old. They would molest our children, murder the men, murder the women, rape the women, rape the men, and just discard us like it was nothing. Right? Trooper Officer Shariwan, do you have that prepared slaughter? And Trooper Urad, you get the last scripture that we're gonna go to. Can you get me? I think it's Zephaniah 2 and 1 gathered together.
Gone, sir.
Right, Trooper Salakia. Officer Shaywan, can you get the prepared slaughter for me, Baba Kasha, and you can read it whenever you got it. Whenever you got it, Officer Shaywan, you can read the prepared slaughter. Damn, I think he's freezing up. All right, Salakia. Officer Shaywan, I think you're frozen. You might have to back out and jump back in. Trooper Urad, can you get me prepared slaughter for the iniquity of their fathers?
Isaiah chapter
Khan,
14,
can you hear me?
verse 21.
Okay.
Okay, Salakia Trooper. Officer Shaywan, can you hear me? All right, no sweat, Officer Shaywan. I can hear you, but you're freezing. You're breaking up. You might have to back out and jump back in. I'm gonna let the trooper read. Trooper Shaywan, can you Trooper Salakia? Trooper Uriah, can you read for me, Baba Kasha?
God, sir. Isaiah 14, verse 21. It reads, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
Right. So you gotta prepare slaughter, right? And the only way to prepare slaughter is to jump in the ISUPK. That's how you do it. You gotta prepare slaughter against your enemies so they can't build up these cities no more, right? You know that you could say that you could tell an oppressor that white people put our children in residential schools. They're gonna say, no, it wasn't me. That was my forefathers. You can't blame me for that, right? Read that one more time, Trooper Urad.
This is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 1. Select at verse 21. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities.
Right. So we're preparing slaughter for our enemies that they don't rise, right? And Baba Kasha, bring me to the last precept we're gonna read for the day. Can you bring
Sir.
Can you bring me to Zephaniah 2 and 1? That's the gather together, right? Also, just remember Commanding General Yohana's Black Watch Live every Monday, 9 p.m. Commanding General Yohana's Black Watch Live every Monday, 9 p.m. He's going to be there with the heavy hitters. Go check that out right now. You can always come back to this tape. We're wrapping it up right now. Check out that Black Watch Live right now.
This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, and verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, together, all nations desire.
One more time, Ak. You were breaking up.
Sir. Zephaniah, chapter 2, and verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, all nation, not desired.
Right, and that's what we want to do. Black Hispanics and Native Americans, I know you're sick and tired of the oppression, just like I was sick and tired of the oppression. What you got to do is you got to get in the ISUPK right now.
Right.
You got to like put down the everything that doesn't resort to brotherhood and doesn't resort to loving your people. Put down those drugs. Put down the customs and the beliefs of our oppressors. You can't just love everybody. You tried to love everybody and you fought your own people in the Beaver Wars trying to love everybody. Now it's time to gather together, and that's what we got to do, right? So again, I'm Officer of 50s Obaja of the I.S.U.P.K under Commandant General YAHANNA. This has been the history class, and we talked about the Native American murder and molestation of Native American children through residential schools, right? Again, tune in next Monday, 7 p.m. Don't forget to check out tomorrow. We got the Brotherhood class popping off. That's 7 p. That's, I believe it's 5 p.m. now. The Brotherhood class. Check that out. Right? So again, I'm about to play a little Passover commercial. Feast of Purim is coming up. Passover is coming up. I'm going to play a little Passover commercial. Shameless plug. You know what it is. Shalom Akim. Shalom Akwafim.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Yahweh Bashim Yahshua Brakatah. Yahweh Shema Allah Thug Bashim Yahshua all the sisters, man. Listen, Captain 13,000, the card of a rhyme. Checking in with the Israelite School of UPK under Commander General YAHANNA.
You know we not no cowards. Oh, you on that?
Listen, man, this year's 52nd annual Passover. Hold on. Say it one more time. This year's 52nd annual Passover under Commander General YAHANNA, under the I.S.U.P.K. Couldn't do it last year. Y'all already know. The Lord had his foot on our oppressor's neck.
Here in New York City, there are roughly 1,000 cases a day. Those are numbers they haven't seen since May.
Can't do it in New York this year because the Lord still got his foot on our oppressor's neck.
New York, the center of the outbreak this spring, is now teetering on another deadly explosion of the virus.
But listen to me good. This year, 52nd annual Passover, April 24th, 2021. You understand? It's going to be in town, baby.
It's gonna be at the B&H Ranch, 14149 Players Street, Houston, Texas.
Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we came to do.
2021 I.S.U.P.K. 52nd annual Passover. All the generals gonna be there. All the heavy hitters gonna be there. The daughters of Zion gonna step out with their beautiful long dresses. You understand? Strong on deck. That one West style music on deck. 52nd annual Passover.
B&H Ranch, 14149 Players Street, Houston, Texas.
You with it to get lost, man.
Got it out the mud, straight up out the base. The world done made me crazy. The world done turned crazy.
You dealing with the men of war. We at war. I sided with the Lord of course. On one accord. We ain't never stopping now. You running now. All my niggas go to ground. We go.
Shalom, Israel.